The NHL playoffs are here, and here at the Sporting Tribune, we got two teams that we cover that are making it into the tournament. In LA, we got the Kings. Here in Vegas, the Golden Knights. And before we get to the Golden Knights and Steve Carp, we are bringing in Derek Lee, who usually covers the Anaheim Ducks, but since it's playoff time and he does such a fantastic job, he'll be covering the LA Kings for their playoff run, hopefully a deep one for all the Kings fans. But Derek, I'm going to let you know, I don't know much about hockey, so you're going to be my guiding light with all these questions. But since it is your first time on the show, first of all, thank you and welcome. My job here with the podcast is, while you guys write up all these stories and recap the games and give your insight and go to these games and get that insight, it's my job on the podcast for people to get to know you outside of your guys' work. So as we start this off, since it is your first time, I need you to enter the danger zone, sit in the hot chair. I forgot what we call it, the hot take chair, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to give you a set of questions, completely random, and whatever comes to mind, you have to say it. Gut reactions only. Okay, Derek, are you prepared?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, here we go. First question. Most overrated holiday.
I'll go Thanksgiving.
Damn, not a
Yeah,
fan of food. Do you play video games?
I do.
Favorite video game of all time?
Of all time, I think I'm gonna have to go with NHL 14.
Oh, you went with a hockey game. Okay. Your
Yeah.
favorite game right now, currently?
Right now, I think I'll have to go with MLB The Show. Yeah.
Nice. Favorite candy?
I really like Heath bars a lot.
Wait, say that one more time. It was laggy.
Heath bars.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, just to make sure, you live outside of Anaheim. You're in LA. What's your living situation? Where are you at?
Yeah. So I live in a small town called San Dimas. I don't know if you've
Okay.
heard of that before.
I
Yeah.
haven't, but
Yeah.
where is it in the middle between both, or where are you at?
So there's this water park like a couple minutes away from my house called
Uh-huh.
Raging Waters.
Okay,
So
I've heard of
yeah,
that.
yeah. So you look that up. Like I live like 5-10 minutes away from there.
Okay, so since you are within the perimeter of all the celebritydom that is Hollywood and LA and California, who's the most famous person you've ever ran into in your life?
Um, there was one time I was at Disneyland with a couple friends and we ran into Lana Del Rey.
Ooh,
Yeah,
nice. Was there a selfie or you just high and by, or did you even
yeah.
stand
I
in?
actually have a post on Instagram with her from like 2017.
Oh, that's lit. I'm gonna need you to send me that for the video. We'll put it up there. Favorite ride at
Yeah.
Disneyland
Oh,
or California Adventure?
I think why I really liked Tower of Terror when it was there, but I think man, I'm gonna have to go with I'll go with Radiator Springs Racers.
Nice. Most overrated thing about Disneyland.
Oh man, I mean, I think probably just the price. You know, it's so expensive to go there now. Like just even going for Disneyland, not even for both. It's I feel like it's way too expensive to go and you're waiting in line like all day for everything.
So my last Disneyland question, obviously you can tell I'm a big fan of Disney. Um, Other than the price of the ticket, what's the most expensive thing you've ever bought or your family's bought in a trip to Disney?
Uh, I mean, probably just like food, maybe. I don't like my family's not really a big like souvenir kind of thing, so it's just mostly food. Like you have to eat at some point, you know? So,
Straight up. Speaking of food, favorite restaurant?
oh, favorite restaurant? I don't know if I have one right now. I used to like Lowry's Prime Rib a lot because I would go there for my birthday every year.
Uh,
But yeah, I don't think I have a favorite one at the moment now.
is In-N-Out overrated?
Oh, man, I want to say yes. I still think it's good, but I think a lot of people make it sound better than it. Like I think it's overhyped. I don't know if that's like qualifies as the same thing as like overrated, but I think it's definitely overhyped because people make it sound like it's like the greatest thing ever, you know?
Okay, well this will figure it out then. So obviously In-N-Out lines are crazy, right? Most of the time.
Hmm.
What is where's your limit in terms of like, okay, I'll wait in this line if it's 15 minutes, or I'll wait in this line if it's 20 minutes, or if 10 minutes, whatever. Where's your line of like, okay, I'm not doing that, but I'll do this when it comes to in and out?
I think if I'm just going to get food, like anything more than like 20 minutes, I'll just go eat somewhere else.
All right, fair enough. A couple more
Yeah.
before we get into the actual hockey, or we might not even get into the hockey. We never know. This is the beauty of starting it like this. Where do I want to go with this one? Who's your favorite rapper?
My favorite rapper, um, well, see, I'm not really in tune with like everybody right now, but when I was
All time's good.
yeah, when I was growing up, Eminem was one that I listened to a lot.
The shower, the towel that you use in the shower to dry yourself off. How long do you use that one before you switch it for another?
Probably like maybe like a week, maybe.
That seems there we go. That's a good answer. Derek, we're on the right path of this early friendship. When you go to stores, are you a I'm gonna take that sample type of guy?
So like Costco or like Sam's Club kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it just depends. If it's like a mini corn dog, I'll take that all day. But if it's like a dip, I'm probably not gonna have that.
Corn dog or hot dog?
I think I'll go corn dog.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow, this is controversial.
Is it
Sam's
really?
Club. Well, okay. I feel like I have more experience eating terrible food more than you based on my stomach. Um, so as a man who eats a lot of food that's greasy, I don't really rock with the corn dogs. I rock with hot dogs. And then like a corn dog is a very like it's like a very carnival or fair type of food, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So when it comes to fair food, I think you have like turkey legs, you got corn dogs, you got cotton candy.
Mhm.
What is the oh my goodness, with the white powder. It's like a pancake, but it's not a
Oh, the
pancake.
funnel cake. Yeah,
A
funnel
funnel
cake.
cake. Okay, out of those, which one are you taking first?
Oh, I'm taking funnel cake all day.
So you do funnel cake. What's next?
Um, I don't know. At the LA County Fair, they have this thing called a pork chop on a stick. And I would get that. That is incredible. That is like probably the
Are
best
you?
thing I've had there.
It's a pork chop.
Yeah, it's like actual like full pork chop on like one of those like the wood sticks.
Like, and you just hold it like they do it
Yeah.
with the meats and the pork, but it's a
Yep.
pork chop.
Hmm.
When's the LA Fair? When's the next one? Do we know?
I think it's usually like around October, I want to say.
Damn, I got some time to wait. All right, we're a mandate. We'll go. We'll get off the food. What is the I mean, I don't want to. It's a pork chop on a stick. I'm still thinking about that. This entire interview, I'm gonna be thinking about that. What is the one show of the past 2 years that excuse me, that you really enjoy?
I've been watching Ted Lasso right now. I'm on the third season, and that's probably one of the best shows I've watched over the last few years.
Yo, so I'm gonna be lucky enough. I'll tell you right now. Next week, and I think they're gonna be on the podcast. Cristo Fernandez and Cola Bucchini, who play. Who are they on the role? I don't know. They're on the team in that show. I haven't watched any episodes of Ted Lasso. I've missed out. No, I just missed out on the hype because I didn't fill out my Apple TV that they just give you for free. What is so great about that show that you love it so much?
I think it's just a different perspective, like I don't want to spoil it too much for like someone like you that hasn't watched it, but I mean they bring in this football coach, but he coaches American football,
Mhm.
but they're bringing him in to manage a soccer team, and I think just the storylines and fleshing out the characters, it's totally a different take. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the Sunderland series on Netflix. I forget what the title is right now, but there's a really good series on Netflix about Sunderland. They're a soccer team in England, and they were at the top for a very long time. They got relegated, and just seeing that like behind the scenes, but in a fictional type way, because obviously Ted Lasso is not based on something that's real, but just seeing that kind of like behind the scenes look at sports is something that I really like to look at.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for the good review. A couple more of these hot take questions. Willie G. Ramirez has joined the staff of the Sporting Tribune within the past month. I don't know if you've seen his face or seen him on social media. But my question to you is, do you believe that he's in the mob or mafia?
uh, I can't say that I've actually ever seen what he looks like or honestly know who he is, but I'll just go no for the purpose of safety reasons, I guess.
That's a perfect answer. And my last one was one that just escaped my head. Damn it. Let me think. We'll go with this. You're at a dinner table and you can invite two people in the world that have been on this planet, meaning if they've been deceased, you can bring them back to life for this dinner. Who are the two people that you're inviting?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think off the top of my head, I think I'll go Morgan Freeman and Jimi Hendrix.
Would you use Morgan Freeman to like, would you whisper in his ear for him to have the conversation? Like you tell him what to say so that he kind of is like your narrator for it, or how would you use him?
Ah, no, I wouldn't do him the disservice of that. I would treat him with the utmost respect like that. That is someone that has so much vast knowledge. Like he would just be able to talk about anything with him would just be an honor.
No, 100%. And I think it's going to happen one day. We speak it into existence here on the Sporting Tribune today. With all that being said, we need to get into some hockey. And I told you before we started this interview, and everyone on the show knows because this is episode 17 or 18. This is the first time we're really, truly talking about hockey in depth. I have to step out of my element to give our listeners and our readers and our watchers the coverage they deserve. So, I'm appreciating you for joining the show and kind of guiding me through these questions. I'm going to start off with this. I am aware that this is a rematch from last year in which Edmonton came down from 3-2 to beat the LA Kings in game 7, despite the Kings having the lead in game 6, yada, 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 yada. This is going to be the first time that I've really cussed and said some bad words on the podcast. But Derek, as we start off with the hockey, I'm just going to ask you, is it fuck Canada and fuck Edmonton? Is that what we're rolling with here?
I mean, I think there's a very fine line between just like having a bias and then just being able to appreciate the opposition that you're facing. And obviously, Edmonton's a very good team. They've been one of the best teams in the NHL for the last, I want to say, a month and a half. But I don't think we have to stoop to that level of, oh, like these guys are awful. Like I hate them so much. I mean, it's fair to have a dislike, but I think at the same time you have to appreciate how good they are.
That's a good test for you and great answer. A level-headed analysis from Derek. All right. So before we get into this series for real, the one thing, and I know you spent so much time covering the Ducks, so you haven't been fully focused on the Kings. But with you doing your research and previewing the series and getting ready for it, what's the one thing that sticks out to you for the LA Kings this season?
For the season as a whole.
Yeah, so far regular season, I guess I'll say.
Mhm. Well, I mean, they brought in Kevin Fiala from Minnesota over the past offseason, and he's just been one of their best players, one of their top scorers. I think having Anze Kopitar coming back to his elite two-way play, that's been really big for them on that top line. Especially, I think, for the second line, having Trevor Moore was out for a little bit with injury, but having him back healthy with Philip Deneau and Victor Arvidsson, who also missed last year's playoffs with a herniated disc. I think having a really good not only a good top line, a good second line is definitely something you want to have when you're trying to get Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and all those guys.
Yeah, and I brought up the history that these two teams have, and obviously it's going to be heated. But from the Kings' perspective, what are kind of some of the keys for this series in getting past Edmonton and getting over that hump with this young team that I believe the Kings are going to have 11 players on the roster that haven't played in the playoff game before, and you're going into Edmonton, one of the more hostile environments in the league.
Yeah, I think for LA, there's a lot of guys that you mentioned don't have playoff experience, but I think there are guys on the roster that got playoff experience last year in that series. So they'll look to those guys to kind of lead the way. They'll have Drew Doughty back. Obviously, he didn't play last season. He had wrist surgery. I think the major key for the Kings will be to stay out of the penalty box because the Oilers by far had the best power play. I think it was the best power play in league history. It's just an insane. They do so much damage on the power play. That is the one if there's one key you want to hammer into their heads, it's definitely to not take penalties.
Good stuff. And for this team, for LA, I should say, for them to actually make a deep push into the playoffs and try to compete for the Stanley Cup. First off, do you think they can? And if you think they can, what are going to be the keys for them to do so?
Well, for me, I think it's you just got to take it series by series, and I think if they can beat Edmonton, that's a great step, obviously, and then you probably end up in a matchup with the Vegas Golden Knights, and you face your old friend Jonathan Quick, and I think if they can, I think it's one thing. It's if you can beat each team, then there's obviously a chance. I know that's really cliche, but I mean, all it takes is one. We've seen in the past where all it takes is one to get there. It was in 2020, the Canadians were the last team in the that made the playoffs, and they made it all the way to the Stanley Cup final. So I think it's just you just got to keep taking it game by game, series by series, and I think that the Kings definitely have the depth and the goaltending to make it to the Stanley Cup finals. But it's just a matter of they can be consistent enough to do that.
And that's the one thing that's fascinating about hockey. And I mean, the Kings have experience with it in terms of I think the reason I like basketball so much when it comes to playoffs is because it's a 7 game series. More often than not, the better team truly prevails. And there's very rare upsets. In hockey, the upsets happen all the time. The eight's
Mm-hmm.
beaten the one before, where it's not as crazy as it is in basketball, which really gives everyone a shot. And with these two teams and the rivalry and how close I think this series is going to be, I think if you look at all of the playoff series in the first round, outside of you just brought up Vegas, the Vegas series that they're going to be going through. This one, in terms of prediction odds, is very, very close. In terms of some people are picking Edmonton, some people are picking the Kings. For you, what's going to be an X factor for LA in this series specifically?
Well, I think it just comes down to replacing. Excuse me. It comes down to depth because they're going to be out. They're going to be without Kevin Fiala. They're going to be without Gabe Vilardi. Those are two big guys for them on the power play. I think you have to look at guys like Quentin Byfield and Arthur Kaliyev. Those are two young guys that haven't really been scoring in the regular season. But I think if you have guys like that step up, especially on the blue line, I mentioned they have Doughty back. I think getting a guy like Alex Edler back is really important for having that veteran leadership on the back end. And then, of course, the goaltending. If the goaltending is solid, I think that they're capable of beating almost any team in the league.
Game one tonight in a few hours, which means I got to edit this video and post it up on our YouTube and our social medias here very quickly. Before we get you out of here, game one tonight, game two in Edmonton on Wednesday, and then Saturday or Friday night, excuse me, at the Crypto as the teams return back to LA for game three. Before we get you out of here, Derek, like I said, I know that you're covering this series and you'll be covering the Kings for the playoffs, but you've been covering the Anaheim Ducks for this entire season and will here in the offseason as well. So if you want to plug your stuff where people can find you and to give your great coverage of hockey that you've been doing and will continue to do here for us at the Sporting Tribune.
Yeah, well, you can follow me on Twitter. My handle is at Derek_Lee27. So you can follow me there. All my articles are on the Sporting Tribune website. And yeah, that's all I got for you today.
Boom, there it is. Derek, short, sweet. Welcome to the show. And since you're level headed, I'll end it with this. Fuck Edmonton. Derek, thanks for the time, bro.
Thank you for having me, Adrian.